you're going to fail. And you cannot be afraid to absolutely suck at stuff. You cannot. We have to build the evidence that we're going to fail before we get better. But most people are taking like a total baseball bat and beating themselves over the head because they've run into resistance that is going to inevitably be created by the action you're taking. You are supposed to face resistance and your brain's going to yell at you about it. And you have to manage your brain. A lot of people don't really know what hard things are because the minute we face some kind of resistance, we quit.
I'm Dr. Charlie Hornis. I'm a doctorate level, clinically trained and certified spiritual counselor and a master certified thoughtwork strategist. I work with high functioning women who are tired of saying, I'm fine, when they know they're not. If you're exhausted from being the one who's holding it all together while quietly falling apart, this show is for you. Welcome to the art of managing your brain. Let's go. Because you were not born afraid to be seen as messy. You were not born afraid to be seen without your makeup on. You were not born with some of these little quirks. We learned these things. They manifest differently in everybody. But the perfectionism itself, the origin, comes from classrooms where mistakes meant shame, from families where you got praised for being the easiest one, from work environments where men got to wing it, but you were told to be twice as prepared. Maybe you were managing impossible expectations, but thought asking for help would make you look weak. And then when you finally said, I cannot do this alone any longer, people looked at you like you were the problem. They acted like you should have spoken up sooner. They minimized it, made it seem like an overreaction. And suddenly, instead of getting help, you felt like a failure. Your voice may waver, your tone might sharpen or get weaker, or your words may even fail you, all of which can unintentionally reinforce the perception that you're not confident or credible. But that's just your body and brain responding to what it perceives as a physical threat. Why is asserting your worth so challenging? Why do we hesitate to demand what we deserve, even when we logically recognize our merits? Because the moment we do, societal structures push back. They don't just resist. They attempt to redefine us. History isn't merely populated with powerful women. It's replete with women who wielded power, only to be subsequently erased. Not due to a lack of brilliance, but because they were exceedingly brilliant, too influential, too impactful, too disruptive to systems that were not designed for them. So what looks to you like indecision, perfectionism, or procrastination is often predictive safety. And the brain is ultimately what? To protect you. And it has learned that if you stay 3 steps ahead of criticism, of rejection, of failure, you'll survive. But we don't feel thought. We can feel result and we can feel feeling. But we don't feel circumstance, which is step 1. We don't feel, action necessarily, unless it's like physical action, but that's not what we're talking about here. And we don't feel thought. So it's always great to notice where something feels in your body, because then you can track the thought creating it. Did you feel tense? Did you feel stressed? I mean, remember, this reaction isn't about weakness. It's about a natural result of your brain's survival mechanism at play. So your brain kicks out a thought in your head about whatever the circumstance is. That creates an immediate feeling. And often we don't even stop to think about what the thought is or what the feeling is. We just act on it or don't act on it because it feels awful. But you have to dig deeper. You have to dig under all of this. You have to, what I call, get yourself up into the aerial view, right?
I love to talk about a storm system because it's very similar to looking at the systemic stuff we're dealing with, especially as women in leadership. So I often use a storm metaphor, and I write about this, and it's also on my website. You can always go to the homepage. I've got a little writing about that as well. It's like women are the shore that gets pummeled by the hurricane, whereas men get to stand in the nice, calm eye, move along, chill with the storm. And they get to decide if they want to go in and mess with the, storm wall or not. What I need you to do is get an aerial view of the storm system. My job is to lift you out of the storm, unroot you. You're rooted so deeply into that shore, and you're so used to getting pummeled, and you're so used to just like treading water and hoping that you'll survive. And once you begin to understand, seeing your thoughts, creating your feelings, causing your actions that are giving you the results you have, and once you see below the surface and you see the inner workings of what this is that's going on, that automatically catapults you into this aerial view so that you're not facing the storm head on.
Because your voice doesn't disappear. It got silenced by a survival pattern that thinks silence equals safety. I know that about myself. Sometime, somewhere along the way, I couldn't even tell you when, I learned that if I got mixed up in conflict, if I got too loud, if I got too big for my britches, right? It wasn't safe. The second that you finally find yourself alone, your whole body just drops. Not out of relief, not peace, but like a full-on collapse. And nobody's yelling at you, nobody's coming after you, but your system still feels like it's being chased.
More often than not, we choose what is familiar and comfortable. And so the other thing about this perspective shift, we got to be willing to be uncomfortable. And that requires some intelligence.
Have you ever shape-shifted your ideas that you would like to share, but you feel like you need to fit someone else's comfort zone? That it's not that you're concerned about making somebody uncomfortable in, again, a polite way or in a social contract way, but because their discomfort makes you uncomfortable. None of these tactics are strategies. These are all reactions.
The better you got at wearing it, the harder it became to take off. Because the praise, the performance, they reinforce the pattern. Look how capable she is. She never drops the ball. She's just so organized. How does she do it all? Meanwhile, your body is cracking under the pressure of being the woman who never drops the ball.
Burnout is a symptom of all of this. It's not, you just got burned out. No. All of this leads up and snowballs into what looks like burnout. And navigating these dynamics on top of your actual work takes a massive toll on your mental and your emotional energy. Subtle bias thrives on your silence and your self-doubt. Subtle bias is your inner critic's best friend. It's what creates imposter syndrome. It's what fuels a slow erosion of confidence. By naming it, even if just to yourself, by knowing it exists, you can begin to disrupt the pattern and regain your footing.